Hi, my name is Carrie Simpson. I am the Program Facilitator with CERRA, the Center for Educator Recruitment, Retention, and Advancement. The purpose of today's video is to give a brief overview of what it takes to go through Component 3 with the National Board. So let's get started. So what is Component 3 all about? It's about that teaching practice and the learning environment. It is a classroom-based portfolio entry that will require you to do video recordings. These recordings will be interactions between you and your students. Along with those video recordings, you will submit a written commentary for which you will describe and analyze along with reflect on your teaching and those interactions with your students. Both the video and that written commentary should demonstrate how you engage with students and the impact that you have on their learning. So we're going to go through that architecture of accomplished teaching. You'll want to keep this in your mind as you're working through Component 3. Beginning with those 5 core propositions down here at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, we're going to go through each of these. The first core proposition is teachers are committed to students and their learning. Core proposition number 2, teachers know the subjects that they teach and how to teach those subjects to their students. Core proposition number 3, teachers are responsible for managing and monitoring the learning of their students. Core proposition number 4, teachers think systematically about the practice and learn from their experience. And core proposition number 5, we're looking at teachers are members of the learning community. All of this ties into that architecture of accomplished teaching. If you'll notice, this is a double helix, which means this is ongoing. It is constantly happening throughout good teaching. Looking at the very first step, you will notice that it ties in with core proposition number 1. You're looking at your students. Who are they? Where are they now? What do they need to do? And how are you going to help them get to where they need to be? You're committed to their learning. You're committed to those students. Core proposition number 1 also feeds into the second step where you're setting high and worthwhile goals for your students for this time and this period and in this setting. It's not those just cookie cutter lesson plans that you'll pull out of the file cabinet. While those lessons are probably good, you will want to tailor them to meet the needs of the students that you're teaching right now. Looking at core proposition number 2, teachers know their subjects they teach and how to teach it to their students. From there, you're taking those goals that you created for these students in this time period and you are implementing that instruction so that those students can attain those goals. Core proposition number 3, where you're responsible for managing and monitoring student learning, falls into the fourth step, evaluating student learning in the light of the goals and the instruction that you taught. You're looking through and you're evaluating what they've learned, or did they learn anything or did they not? Which brings us to that next step where teachers think systematically about their practice and learn from experience. You're now reflecting upon those student learning, the effectiveness of that instruction that you gave, and decided, were there any particular concerns? Were there any issues? Did you need to reteach anything? And from there, you're going to go and you're going to set new goals for these students in this time. And then the whole process repeats itself. Where are your students at now? What goals are you setting for them? How are you going to implement that instruction so that they can reach those goals? What came out of the evaluation when you did that? And then you reflect on that learning to discuss any changes that you may have. And then again, setting those new high worthwhile goals. All of this is part of national boards through all 4 components. And it is a necessary piece to really keep in mind and put it in the forefront of your mind as you're working through the national board process. Let's walk through how to navigate National Board's website when we're looking for Component 3 resources. You'll go to the main website for National Board, nbpts.org, and at the top you're going to see the Certification tab. From there, click on Candidate Center. You will scroll down past the Important Dates and Deadlines window and find where it says First Time and Returning Resources, and then click on Learn More. From there, go past the video, and you will notice where it says Discipline and Developmental Level. For the sake of this video, I'm going to use mine to showcase how you will find your resources. So I am Early Adolescence Mathematics. I'm going to click on Mathematics as my discipline, and developmental level is going to be Early Adolescence. Once I do that, I will have all of my resources available for me. Before you begin anything with any of the components, you will want to make sure that you have clicked on your standards. You will want to print this out. Go through your standards with a fine-tooth comb. Flag it, highlight it, underline it, whatever means necessary for you to make sure that you have read it from cover to cover. Inside this document is going to go through the National Board Professional Teaching Standards. It talks about the certification. It goes through the 5 core propositions and that architecture of accomplished teaching that we've talked about. And it breaks it down by your standards. All of this information in this document is vital for your success through national boards because it's how you're going to be assessed. It's what they expect for you to be able to do throughout the process. So the very first step you will want to do, regardless of what component you're working on, is to print out your standards. Next, you will go to the component that you're working on, which in this case, we're looking at Component 3. I will open up the zip file, and from there, it will house my instructions for Component 3. That's going to be your PDF. So looking at the PDF for mine, it goes through and talks about the overview of what Component 3 is all about, that teaching practice and the learning environment. It gives you specifically what you need to do, how to plan and select your instructional materials, how to record your videos, what is the written commentary about, talks about your electronic submission, and then the forms that you will need. And it also goes through the scoring rubric so that if you want a level 4, you click on 4, and this tells you exactly how you can obtain that level 4. Go through this again, print it out, highlight, underline, make sure that you have read it cover to cover. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you look at each of the sheets within that folder. So if I were to pull up this particular piece, it is my instructional context sheet. Read the directions. Do not delete anything on this page. Do not delete it. Anything that you have to type, you will type within the brackets. Make sure you're answering the questions with it in its entirety. This is just the cover page for your instructional context. It is one page. Looking at the next part, we're looking at the instructional planning part. So your instructional planning component is going to go through, and this is for your video, and it tells you for each video, follow the directions below. Keep in mind, what is on my page may not necessarily be on yours because all of the certification areas are going to be different based on the certification needs. So be sure to read your instructional planning form with its entirety. And then again, it also houses the introduction to your entry. Read the directions carefully and do not delete anything on these pages. Everything goes in the brackets. If after you have gone through and you have printed out your standards and you've read through it and you've printed out your instructions for your Component 3 and you still have questions, you can go to the contact button on the National Board website. And with that, they have a customer support team. There are 3 different options for you to contact them by. You can call them, you can do the live chat, or you can complete the customer support form. Irregardless of which choice or avenue you choose to contact them, they will supply you with a transcript of your conversation so that you can have the answers on hand. Using National Board's website is going to be key for your success, making sure that you are pulling up all the resources for each of the components. As you are preparing your ePortfolio for submission, there are several things for you to keep in mind. All of your written documents have to be saved as PDF files. That is the only file format that you will be able to upload into the National Board website. Make sure that you label your files so that you can easily upload them and you're not having to hunt for which one is the actual final draft. If you're like me, a lot of times I will put in the title final draft of component 1, but then sometimes it may say final draft. So, a word of advice: if it's your final draft, put the date. That way you know that the most current date that you have is the one that you need to upload. Do not put your name as a file name. That is very important. Has to remain anonymous. All of your videos have to be saved as MP4 files, and all files have to be less than 500 megabytes. On the website, we'll go through this in just a little while. There are tips and tutorials for how to do the different operating systems, as well as to be able to compress or convert files on that ePortfolio submission page. It talks about PC users versus Mac users. Make sure that you have checked your speed for your network, that it's higher than 1.5 megabytes, because it could take several days for the uploading to actually complete. So you will want to make sure that your processing system or your network speed is as fast as possible. Okay, we're going to walk through how to locate the information about ePortfolio submissions. When you're on the main web page, go back to that certification tab again and down to Candidate Center, and then scroll down. First, take a look at the important dates and deadlines. You want to make sure that you notate when the ePortfolio window opens and when it closes. So for year 2025, April 1st is when it opened. May 17th is when it closes. Do not wait until the last minute to upload your information, because you may run into some issues and everyone else is trying to upload, so it slows the system down. Giving you some more information about the ePortfolio submission. We were here before where we looked at first time and returning candidate resources. Scroll down past that and find where it says ePortfolio submission and then click learn more. On this particular page, it's going to walk you through everything you need to know about the ePortfolio. It gives you all the resources that you need going through. The very first part is talking about your technical guides and troubleshooting. It has facts and questions. It gives you a tutorial on how to actually submit your information. Troubleshooting tips if you're a Mac user. Looking at video evidence, how to do the video formats and settings, how to export photos or iMovies, and again, how to do conversions for MP4, and there's a compression guide for PC users versus Mac users. And then what to do for your hard copy evidence, scanning and submitting your evidence, and then submitting that evidence as PDF files, whether you're a PC user or a Mac user. The biggest piece of information that I can give you about when you're doing the ePortfolio submission, you will go in and it will click a site and it'll have a little button that says submit. After you have uploaded your files, Don't submit until everything for all of the components that you are submitting are ready to go. If you click submit before you are finished uploading all your files, everything goes to National Board as is. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that you will want to only click the submit portfolio entry when you're ready. You will get a confirmation of submission on the dashboard when that submission is complete, and you will be required to verify the accuracy of your materials before you submit it. National Board's not going to audit or inventory your materials, but once you submit it, all the files then become property of National Board. You will receive an email confirmation for every submitted portfolio entry that you have. It is not confirmation of an audit or inventory, only receipt. Once it's submitted again, it's National Board's property. If you find after you have submitted it that there was an error in your entries, you may access an exception process service for $125 per entry. And this service will only be available for 1 week after the submission window closes. You will want to contact customer support at that 1-800-22-TEACH to get more information if you find that you have submitted something in error. After the submission deadline, all uploaded materials, including incomplete ones, are submitted for evaluation as is. Thank you so much for joining me on this overview of Component 3 of the National Board Certification process. I hope that it provided some helpful hints as you navigate through this journey. If at any time you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to us at CERRA. We look forward to serving you in the future, and we wish you all the best of luck. Have an awesome day.